Have you ever stopped to consider why so many people are afraid to invest and take risks in building their own wealth, even though they know the greatest risk might be doing nothing at all? What truly separates those who build financial empires from those who merely dream of them? Today, we will dive into the life and teachings of John D. Rockefeller, one of the greatest investors and entrepreneurs in history, to uncover the secrets he would use to guide you, a young investor, in transforming fear into opportunity and building solid, lasting wealth. Prepare for a journey of learning, where each piece of advice is a cornerstone for beginning to invest with wisdom, courage, and a vision for the future. John Davison Rockefeller was born in 1839, at a time when the United States was rapidly transforming. He started his career humbly but with a clear vision to build something greater than himself. Rockefeller was not just an oil businessman. He was a master of investments, management, and strategy. His story is a living guide for those who want to understand how money can be used to create real and lasting wealth. But what can we learn from him? How did he think? What principles guided him? Let's find out. Understand the value of capital before investing. Rockefeller saw money as a powerful tool, not an end goal. For him, capital was the engine that drove growth. Before investing, he always evaluated the potential for that money to multiply. Invest in what you know deeply. He didn't venture into businesses he didn't master. His initial focus was oil, where he studied every detail of the process, from refining to distribution. Intelligent diversification. While his focus was oil, Rockefeller knew diversification was essential to protect his investments. He invested in railroads, banks, and real estate, creating a network of interconnected businesses. Reinvest profits. He never spent profits immediately. He reinvested to expand his businesses, creating a virtuous cycle of growth. Patience is a virtue in investing. Rockefeller knew wealth isn't built overnight. He had the patience to wait for the right moment and for his investments to mature. Control costs to maximize profits. He was obsessed with efficiency. Reducing waste and controlling costs was a priority to increase profit margins. Use the power of negotiation. Rockefeller negotiated with suppliers and competitors to secure the best terms, always seeking a competitive advantage. Invest in innovation and technology. He adopted new techniques to refine oil more cheaply and efficiently, staying ahead of the competition. Build a network of strategic allies. Partnerships were key to his success. He knew no one builds an empire alone. Have a long-term vision. He wasn't swayed by short-term gains. His vision was to build a legacy that would last generations. Learn from mistakes and failures. Rockefeller faced crises and challenges but always adapted and learned from each situation. Maintain financial discipline. Strict control of personal and business finances was essential for him. Understand the market and global economy. He tracked global changes to adjust his strategies. Invest in tangible assets. Oil, land, and infrastructure were solid foundations for his empire. Avoid unnecessary debt. He preferred using his own capital to grow, avoiding excessive risks. Be resilient against competition. Compete with intelligence, not just brute force. Educate yourself continuously about finances. Knowledge is power, and he never stopped learning. Have a mentor or role model. Rockefeller learned from earlier entrepreneurs and always sought inspiration. Maintain ethics in business. His reputation was a valuable asset that he protected zealously. Use the power of monopoly responsibly. He dominated the market but also faced criticism and learned to handle it. Invest in people, not just assets. He hired the best and valued them, knowing human capital is crucial. Plan for the future, not just the present. He created foundations and institutions to perpetuate his wealth and impact. Understand the social impact of your investments. Philanthropy was part of his legacy, showing that investing also means caring for society. Don't fear risk, but calculate it. Investing is about balancing risk and return with intelligence. Stay focused, avoid distractions. He concentrated efforts on a few sectors to ensure excellence. Use information as a competitive advantage. Knowing the market before others is a differentiator. Be innovative in business management. Create efficient systems to grow with quality. Invest in infrastructure to ensure growth. Railroads and pipelines were strategic for Rockefeller. Today, think about technology and logistics. Have full control over your supply chain. From production to sales, control is power. Reinvest in marketing and brand building. Standard Oil became synonymous with quality and trust. Learn to handle financial crises. He survived several recessions, always adapting. Maintain humility and a desire to learn. He never stopped seeking knowledge, even at his peak. Use the power of capital concentration, centralizing resources for greater impact and control. Invest in education for the next generation. He created scholarships and institutions to train future leaders. Have a clear exit strategy. Knowing when to sell or pivot is essential. Value continuous innovation. He always sought to improve processes and products. Understand the economic cycle to invest at the right time. Timing is critical to maximizing gains. Be disciplined in risk management. Diversify, but with focus and control. Build a strong and reliable team. Delegating with confidence is essential for growth. Use philanthropy to strengthen your image and legacy. Investing in the community is investing in the future. Don't be swayed by unchecked greed. Sustainable growth is safer and more enduring. Study your competitors to anticipate their moves. Market knowledge is power. Invest in sectors essential to the economy. Energy, transportation, and finance are pillars. Adopt an owner's mindset, not an employee's. Think like an entrepreneur. Use contracts and agreements to protect your investments. Legal security is fundamental. Maintain transparency with partners. Trust generates opportunities. Invest in social and environmental innovation. Rockefeller was a pioneer in environmental philanthropy. Have the courage to make tough decisions. Major investments require boldness. Learn to John D. Rockefeller understood that having cash or liquid assets readily available was crucial for taking advantage of unforeseen investment opportunities. Markets are unpredictable, and the ability to act quickly when a valuable asset becomes available can make the difference between average returns and extraordinary wealth. Rockefeller never committed all his capital at once. Instead, he kept a portion of his resources in reserve, allowing him to invest strategically when the timing was right or when competitors were unable to act swiftly. This financial flexibility gave him a competitive edge, enabling him to acquire key assets at favorable prices during downturns or market disruptions. For investors today, maintaining a financial cushion means not only protecting yourself against emergencies but also positioning yourself to capitalize on market dips, distressed assets, or innovative ventures that others might overlook. Building and preserving reserves requires discipline, resisting the urge to invest every dollar immediately and prioritizing liquidity alongside growth. This approach aligns with Rockefeller's philosophy of patience and strategic action. In essence, by maintaining financial reserves, you equip yourself with the power to act decisively and seize opportunities that can accelerate your wealth-building journey, just as Rockefeller did. Invest in industries with high barriers to entry to reduce competition. John D. Rockefeller strategically focused on industries where new competitors faced significant challenges to enter the market. High barriers to entry, such as large capital requirements, complex technology, regulatory hurdles, or established brand loyalty, help protect your investments from being easily disrupted by newcomers. Rockefeller's dominance in the oil industry was partly due to the enormous infrastructure and capital needed to refine and distribute petroleum products. This made it difficult for smaller players to compete effectively, allowing him to consolidate market share and maintain pricing power. For modern investors, targeting sectors with high entry barriers can provide a competitive moat, reducing the risk of sudden market share erosion. Examples include utilities, telecommunications, pharmaceuticals, and certain manufacturing industries. When evaluating investments, consider what obstacles exist for potential competitors. The stronger these barriers,
seek investments that offer sustainable competitive advantages. John D. Rockefeller built his empire by identifying and investing in businesses that had durable competitive advantages, unique strengths that competitors could not easily replicate or overcome. These advantages allowed his companies to maintain profitability and market dominance over long periods. Examples of sustainable competitive advantages include proprietary technology, exclusive access to resources, strong brand recognition, economies of scale, and regulatory licenses. Rockefeller's Standard Oil, for instance, benefited from superior refining techniques and an extensive distribution network that competitors struggled to match. For investors today, focusing on companies or assets with such moats can lead to more reliable returns and reduced risk. It's important to analyze whether a business's advantage is temporary or likely to endure. Despite market changes, by prioritizing investments with sustainable competitive advantages, you align with Rockefeller's approach of building lasting wealth through strategic positioning and operational excellence. Study consumer behavior to anticipate market trends. John D. Rockefeller understood that successful investing requires more than just financial analysis. It demands a deep understanding of the customers and markets you serve. By studying consumer behavior, he could anticipate shifts in demand and position his investments accordingly. For example, as industrialization increased, the demand for oil products like kerosene and later gasoline grew rapidly. Rockefeller's ability to foresee these trends allowed him to scale his operations ahead of competitors, capturing market share and maximizing profits. Modern investors should similarly analyze consumer preferences, spending habits, and emerging needs. This insight helps identify growth opportunities and avoid investments in declining markets. Tools such as market research, surveys, and data analytics can provide valuable information about consumer trends. By staying attuned to these signals, you can make proactive investment decisions that align with evolving market dynamics. In essence, understanding consumer behavior is a powerful way to invest ahead of the curve, just as Rockefeller did. Invest in scalable assets with low incremental costs. John D. Rockefeller's business model thrived because he invested in assets and operations that could grow significantly without proportional increases in costs. Scalability allowed him to increase production and distribution efficiently, improving profit margins as the business expanded. For example, once the infrastructure for oil refining and transportation was established, increasing output required relatively less additional investment compared to the revenue generated. This scalability created economies of scale, a key factor in Rockefeller's ability to dominate the market. For modern investors, focusing on scalable assets means seeking investments where growth can be achieved without a linear increase in expenses. Technology companies, software, and certain service businesses often exhibit this characteristic. By prioritizing scalable investments, you position yourself to benefit from growth that accelerates profitability, mirroring Rockefeller's strategic advantage. Use financial leverage cautiously and with thorough planning. John D. Rockefeller understood the power of leverage, using borrowed capital to amplify investment returns, but he also recognized the risks involved. He preferred to use leverage prudently, ensuring that debt levels were manageable and that investments could generate sufficient cash flow to cover obligations. Excessive leverage can magnify losses and lead to financial distress, especially during economic downturns. Rockefeller's disciplined approach to borrowing allowed him to maintain control over his businesses and avoid overextension. For modern investors, leverage can be a useful tool to increase returns, but it must be applied with careful analysis of risks, interest costs, and repayment capacity. Always have contingency plans in case market conditions worsen. By using leverage cautiously, you can enhance your investment potential while protecting yourself from undue risk. Following Rockefeller's example of balanced financial management, diversify geographically to reduce local risks. John D. Rockefeller recognized that concentrating investments in a single geographic area could expose him to risks such as regional economic downturns, political instability, or natural disasters. To mitigate these risks, he expanded his business operations across different regions and states. Geographic diversification helps spread risk and can provide access to new markets and growth opportunities. For investors today, this means considering investments in different cities, states, or even countries to balance exposure. By diversifying geographically, you reduce the impact of localized events on your overall portfolio, enhancing stability and long-term growth potential. Just as Rockefeller strategically expanded his empire, invest in businesses with recurring revenue models. John D. Rockefeller's investments thrived because many of his businesses generated steady, predictable income streams, recurring revenue models where customers pay regularly for products or services, provide financial stability, and make it easier to forecast cash flow. For example, Rockefeller's control over oil refining and distribution ensured continuous demand and repeat business, creating a reliable revenue base. Modern investors should seek companies with subscription services, long-term contracts, or repeat customers, as these models reduce volatility and support sustainable growth. By focusing on recurring revenue, you build a portfolio that can weather market fluctuations and provide consistent returns. Following Rockefeller's approach to stable income generation, evaluate regulatory impacts before investing in specific sectors. John D. Rockefeller operated in an era when government regulations began to shape industries. Especially as his Standard Oil monopoly attracted legal scrutiny, he understood that regulatory environments could significantly affect business operations, profitability, and long-term viability. Before committing capital, Rockefeller would assess the potential regulatory risks and opportunities in his sectors. This foresight helped him navigate legal challenges and adapt his strategies accordingly. For modern investors, understanding the regulatory landscape is crucial. Changes in laws, environmental policies, taxation, and industry-specific regulations can impact investment returns and risk profiles. Conduct thorough due diligence on regulatory factors. Engage with experts if necessary, and consider how potential changes might affect your investments. By proactively evaluating regulatory impacts, you protect your capital and position yourself for sustainable success, just as Rockefeller did. To effectively stay updated, consider subscribing to industry newsletters, attending webinars or conferences, and following thought leaders and reputable sources in technology and finance. Leveraging tools like market research platforms, technology, trend reports, and financial news aggregators can also provide timely insights. Additionally, understanding the life cycle of technologies from early adoption to maturity can help you identify the right timing for investments. For example, investing too early in a nascent technology might carry higher risk, while waiting too long could mean missing out on significant growth. It's also important to evaluate how technology impacts not just individual companies, but entire sectors. For instance, advancements in automation and artificial intelligence may disrupt manufacturing and service industries, while renewable energy technologies could reshape the energy sector. By integrating technological awareness into your investment strategy, you position yourself to capitalize on innovation-driven growth and avoid potential pitfalls caused by obsolescence or regulatory changes tied to new technologies. Invest in companies with good corporate governance. Investing in companies with strong corporate governance is essential for long-term success and risk management. Good governance ensures that a company is managed transparently, ethically, and in the best interest of its shareholders and stakeholders. This includes having a competent and independent board of directors, clear accountability structures, and robust internal controls. Companies with solid governance practices tend to be more resilient during market downturns and less prone to scandals or financial mismanagement. They are also more likely to comply with regulations and adapt to changing legal and social expectations, which can protect your investment from unforeseen risks. When evaluating corporate governance, look for factors such as board diversity, executive compensation aligned with performance, shareholder rights, and transparent financial reporting. These indicators often correlate with better operational performance and sustainable value creation. By prioritizing investments in well-governed companies, you reduce exposure to governance-related risks and increase the likelihood of steady, long-term returns. This approach aligns your portfolio with businesses that are built on strong foundations and responsible management practices. Prioritize investments that generate long-term value, not quick gains. Focusing on investments that create sustainable, long-term value is a cornerstone of prudent investing. While short-term gains can be tempting, they often come with higher risks and volatility. Investments aimed at long-term growth tend to be more stable and can compound returns over time, leading to greater wealth accumulation. Long-term value investing involves identifying companies or assets with strong fundamentals, competitive advantages, and growth potential that can endure market fluctuations. This approach requires patience and discipline, as it may take time for the true value of an investment to be realized. By prioritizing long-term value, you also align your portfolio with businesses that invest in innovation, customer loyalty, and operational efficiency, factors that contribute to sustained success. This strategy helps avoid the pitfalls of market hype, speculation, and reactive decision-making based on short-term market noise. Ultimately, a long-term focus supports financial goals such as retirement planning, wealth preservation, and legacy building, providing a more reliable path to financial security.
Use historical data to understand market cycles and patterns. Analyzing historical market data is a powerful tool for investors to recognize cycles and recurring patterns that influence asset prices. Markets tend to move in phases, such as expansion, peak, contraction, and trough, and understanding these cycles can help you make more informed decisions about when to buy, hold, or sell investments. Historical data provides insights into how different asset classes, sectors, and economies have responded to various events like recessions, interest rate changes, geopolitical tensions, and technological shifts. By studying these trends, you can better anticipate potential risks and opportunities. However, it's important to remember that past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Market conditions evolve, and new factors can alter traditional patterns. Therefore, historical analysis should be combined with current market intelligence and forward-looking assessments. Incorporating historical data into your investment strategy enhances your ability to manage risk, optimize timing, and build a resilient portfolio that can weather different market environments. Invest in sectors you can influence or control. Focusing your investments on sectors where you have expertise, influence, or control can significantly improve your chances of success. When you understand the dynamics, challenges, and opportunities within a particular industry, you are better equipped to evaluate companies, anticipate trends, and make strategic decisions. Investing in sectors you can influence also allows you to leverage your network, knowledge, or operational involvement to add value beyond just capital. For example, if you have experience in healthcare, technology, or real estate, you might identify promising startups, advocate for better management practices, or help navigate regulatory environments. This hands-on approach reduces uncertainty and can lead to more informed risk management. It also enables you to spot inefficiencies or growth drivers that others might overlook, giving you a competitive edge. Ultimately, investing in sectors where you have control or influence aligns your financial goals with your skills and resources, creating a more integrated and potentially rewarding investment strategy. Develop financial analysis skills to interpret balance sheets and financial statements. Building strong financial analysis skills is essential for making informed investment decisions. Understanding how to read and interpret balance sheets, income statements, and cash flow statements allows you to assess a company's financial health, profitability, and sustainability. By analyzing key financial metrics, such as liquidity ratios, debt levels, profit margins, and cash flow trends, you can identify strengths and weaknesses that may not be immediately apparent from market prices or headlines. This deeper insight helps you evaluate whether a company is undervalued, over-leveraged, or positioned for growth. Financial literacy also empowers you to compare companies within the same sector, assess management effectiveness, and detect potential red flags like accounting irregularities or unsustainable debt. Investing time in developing these skills, through courses, books, or practical experience, enhances your ability to make data-driven decisions, reduce investment risks, and build a portfolio grounded in solid fundamentals. Avoid investments based on fads or momentary hype. Investing driven by trends or hype can be tempting, especially when certain assets or sectors experience rapid price increases fueled by excitement or speculation. However, such investments often carry heightened risks and may lead to significant losses when the hype fades. Fads tend to be short-lived and may not be supported by strong fundamentals, sustainable business models, or long-term growth prospects. Chasing these can result in buying at inflated prices and facing sharp corrections. To avoid falling into this trap, focus on thorough research and due diligence. Evaluate the underlying value of the investment, its competitive position, and the credibility of its management. Consider whether the growth is driven by real demand and innovation or just market sentiment. Maintaining discipline and a long-term perspective helps you steer clear of impulsive decisions based on hype, protecting your portfolio from unnecessary volatility and preserving capital for more promising opportunities. Seek opportunities in emerging markets with growth potential. Emerging markets often present attractive investment opportunities due to their higher growth rates compared to developed economies. These markets can benefit from factors such as expanding middle classes, urbanization, infrastructure development, and increasing consumer demand. Investing in emerging markets allows you to diversify geographically and tap into sectors and industries that may be underrepresented in your home market. However, these opportunities come with unique risks, including political instability, currency fluctuations, regulatory changes, and less mature financial systems. To navigate these risks, conduct thorough research on the specific countries and sectors you are considering. Look for markets with improving economic fundamentals, stable governance, and policies that support business growth. Partnering with local experts or funds can also provide valuable insights and risk mitigation. By carefully selecting investments in emerging markets, you can position your portfolio to benefit from long-term growth trends while managing the associated risks. Now, the question for you is, what will be your next step? Will you remain afraid to take risks, or will you use these lessons to transform your financial life? Share in the comments which of these pieces of advice resonated with you the most and how you plan to apply it. Remember, the greatest risk is doing nothing. Invest in yourself, invest in your future. The empire of your financial life begins today.